Welcome back. You're watching To The Point. There's no doubt that the government's attempt to ban the Nirbhay documentary has provoked even greater interest in the film, which has now been viewed by many more people than would otherwise have been the case. But the key question is, was the ban justified or has it embarrassed India? In an article over the weekend, Congress MP and former HRD Minister Shashi Tharoor has said the government has caused India deep embarrassment worldwide. Is he right or is he being polemical? With me to debate and discuss with Shashi Tharoor is the Minister for Environment, Prakash Javadekar, and of course, I have Shashi Tharoor himself. Shashi Tharoor, in an article you wrote over the weekend, you say, and I'm quoting, the government has caused and is causing deep embarrassment to India worldwide with its ridiculous campaign to ban a BBC documentary on specious grounds. What's your principal reason for claiming that the government has embarrassed the country?
Well, first of all, because we come across as embarrassingly thin-skinned if we are a country that, instead of dealing with the substance, both of the prevalence of rape and of the social attitudes that underlie it, instead of dealing with that, we go about banning a film that depicts it and that would actually raise our consciousness about it. Secondly, we have actually reached out to other countries. We have sent our court notice to the British, telling them not to broadcast it and so on, which is a deep embarrassment because, in fact, no one has put Indian diplomacy to such embarrassment as to go and ask other free societies that are used to freedom of expression to censor their own media. I'm afraid it really makes us look bad. Thirdly, we've talked about a national campaign to defame India, whereas India has been defamed by the conduct of its own government, which has really disgraced us. If we just look at the foreign media on the Indian ban, it is unanimous. It's not even 90% against, it's 100%. Saying that the Indian government is wrong to do what it's doing. So at every single level, this has been an embarrassment to the country.
Mr. Javadekar, many people would say that Parliamentary Affairs Minister Venkaiah Naidu's claim, and I'm again quoting him, this is an international conspiracy to defame India, actually made India look silly in international eyes. More importantly, it made India look silly within the country. Would you accept that Mr. Naidu made a terrible mistake when he made that statement?
First, let me correct Shashi Tharoor. If it's an embarrassment, who did it? On 7th April 2014, there was UPA government, and UPA government issued legal notice to Woodwin and told her not to show the film anywhere. Reminded her that it is for academic purpose and also asked for unedited, uncut footage. So this is not the NDA government which has given anything. Now what has happened is court has given a restraint order, but actually 7th April UPA government gave the legal order. Why Shashi Tharoor did not feel embarrassed that time when their government gave this notice and stopped and asked the producer not to show the film?
That's a good point to make.
So that's first fact.
Let me go to Shashi,
so
I'll come back to you. Let me go to Shashi, Mr. Javadekar, I'll come back to you.
One
minute.
Let
me put your point to Shashi.
1 minute. No, 1 minute. No, I will come to... yes.
Shashi, answer that. What Mr. Javadekar is saying is that, in fact, the first instruction not to show the film went in April 2014 from the UPA government. You were a member of that government. So the first attempt to stop the film being shown was actually your government, not this. How do you answer that?
No, the film was not complete at that time. What the UPA government instructed her to do was to show the footage to the UPA government, to the authorities. And frankly, when I say the UPA government, it was obviously at a much lower level than any minister would have been conscious of.
But that hardly matters.
And the fact
government
is that at that point, she did. The government is the government, and she did apparently show the footage.
But there's something else Mr. Javadekar said.
She has explained.
There's something else Mr. Javadekar said. He pointed out that in April 2014, instructions were given to Leslie Adwin from your government not to show the film abroad. That was specifically cited by Mr. Javadekar a moment ago. So it's not just to share footage. The instruction was don't show the film.
Well, whoever wrote that letter must still be in office because that person clearly was wrong to do that. But having said that, if the government asked her to show that she had satisfied the conditions under which she was given permission to film, namely that she should show them all her footage, she has since testified at a press conference that she has indeed done that. Subsequently. So in that sense, the letter of April 2014 was effective in getting her to show them the footage.
Well, yes or no, but the letter of 2014, as quoted by Mr. Javadekar, actually asks her not to show the film abroad. Whatever motive you had in mind is another matter, but you accept that that was an unfortunate instruction to give. You've been good enough to accept that. Mr. Javadekar, come back and answer.
The government was not functioning. That was during the code of conduct for the elections.
Well, the government is functioning. Forgive me. I don't think the code of conduct permits you to make that an excuse. You were a government in office, and Mr. Chidambaram claimed that the last day you could carry out economic orders as he thought fit for the economy. You could clearly do this as well. So let's not plead the code of conduct. Mr. Javadekar, come back to the other point I made. Let me go to Mr. Javadekar. Shashi, let me go to Mr. Javadekar. I must give Mr. Javadekar a chance to answer. Mr. Javadekar, I want to bring you in on the point about Venkaiah Naidu. In Parliament, Venkaiah Naidu claimed this is an international conspiracy to defame India.
I'm coming to that. No. See, first is, my friend Shashi Tharoor is basing his whole argument on the recent news items which are published. I have the facts before me, and facts tell me another story. I was I&B minister. Maut De Kaum, the film which was, in a way, Congress thought that it is justifying Indira Gandhi's murder.
Mr. Javadekar,
Congress
let's not go off to that. Come back to this. What about Mr. Venkaiah Naidu saying in Parliament on the floor of the Lok Sabha, this is an international conspiracy?
So was it not embarrassment? No. Was it? No. 1 minute. Then Shashi Tharoor must feel embarrassed about that also. Congress asking, banning the film.
Well, maybe he does. He certainly said it was an unfortunate instruction for the government to give, and then he pleaded that the government wasn't fully functioning because there was a code of conduct, and I rubbished that argument. Now come back and answer my point about Venkaiah Naidu. You're not answering my point about Venkaiah Naidu. Has Mr. Naidu made a terrible mistake in claiming this is an international conspiracy?
I'm answering.
Go ahead.
1 minute. I'm answering, but one sentence. I'm not talking about the same film. Congress asked banning the film, different Maut De Kaum, produced by Indian producer, and was to be shown in the film theatres.
Okay.
But more than, now you want answer to Venkaiahji's. See, everybody who debated in Parliament, that time I was in Egypt, but I have gone through all the verbatim record. And it was sense of the House, overwhelming sense of the House, that showing this film is derogating womanhood. People feel like that. I may not agree, or you may not agree, or Shashi may not agree, but everybody has his viewpoint.
Okay.
So that democratic choice has to be left to the people.
All right, let me pursue this argument and go first to Shashi Tharoor and make this point to you. This is a film about rape, and Leslie Udward says her intention was to try and show the motivation and thinking behind a horrible rapist. But the truth is, horrible rapes happen not just in India. They happen abroad, they happen in the West, they happen in Africa, they happen in America. Secondly, as the Times of India on Sunday showed, you have judges saying exceptionally stupid things about rape in England as well. Yet this movie concentrates entirely on the Nirbhaya case and entirely on India, and therefore many people feel it's targeting India, and many believe that's one reason for banning it.
Well, Karan, you as a member of the media know perfectly well how the media functions. You will take one incident, one detail, one aspect and blow it up into a story. You've done it all the time, and I know I've been a victim of this myself. So I'm not going to sit here making excuses for the media. All I'm saying is this is as valid a distorted, partial view of an issue as any other. We shouldn't be banning. I mean, I'm glad Prakash ji, my good friend, reminded us that he was Minister for Information and Broadcasting. That ministry, known as the Ministry of I&B, the I&B has become Ministry for Intolerance and Banning these days. I think we banned 6 different things in the last week, from 50 Shades of Grey to this particular BBC documentary. We really have to lighten up and realize that in the 21st century, in the information era, and an era in which more and more material is available on the internet and you can bypass these bans, we only look silly by trying to, like King Canute, roll back the waves.
Okay.
The waves cannot be rolled back. The waves are coming. Let us, for God's sake, learn how to surf on them with dignity rather than try and roll them back and get wet in the process.
Mr. Javadekar, let me make another sort of point to you. Nirbhay's parents have publicly and repeatedly said they want the documentary to be shown. Her father says it holds up a necessary mirror to society. Her mother says it reveals the monstrosity of her rapist. Now, if Nirbhay's parents want the documentary to be shown, why is the government intervening and banning it? They are the most concerned and the most affected people.
First, Karan, I am really surprised that it is not the government which banned, it is the court's restraint order which is in operation.
It was sought by the Delhi Police Commissioner on the instructions of the Home Minister, so that's really a specious argument, isn't it?
Why? Let me, 1 minute. But it is court operation and because there were specific conditions which were violated. That this will not be used for commercial purpose.
Well, it
will be only for academic purpose. Unedited, uncut version of record. 1 minute. And then informed consent was necessary, and name and address will not be shown. And even Nirbhaya's parents have objected to.
No, they haven't. Forgive me. Forgive me. Nirbhaya's parents are the ones who reveal the name on the documentary. Nirbhaya's father on the documentary reveals the name and says he wants the name to be known. And as for this question about conditions being violated, Leslie Adwin has refuted every one of those points. She's actually shown documents on another channel to prove that she fulfilled all the conditions. So come back to my point. When Nirbhay's parents want the documentary seen and they're the most connected and the most affected, why is the government intervening?
Government didn't intervene, but there is a law of land. And law of land, who is that Woodwin or the producer, she is now lecturing India. This is atrocious, ridiculous. This is something
you gave her the opportunity to lecture,
because nobody has given her right to violate the rules.
But she hasn't.
The conditions,
she denies it.
And they preponed it and showed it on UK BBC.
Just a moment. Preponing is not a violation. That a channel has a right to do. I'm pointing out that your point about violation, she contests.
Baba, she is not goddess. She is not the epitome of truth.
All right, that is true. No producer
have to argue the merits. I don't know the lady, you don't know the lady, we don't know the film. You have not allowed me to see the film, so I don't know. We're not discussing the merits of the film or of the filmmaker. We are merely discussing the principle behind it.
Quite right. Let me therefore interrupt. I want to put to both of you a moral. I'm going to interrupt you. I want to put to both of you a moral reason for, in fact, banning this film. First, Shashi Tharoor. One argument, Shashi, is that it provides a platform to the rapist, and in so doing, it gives him an opportunity to explain and contextualize his behavior, and therefore make the behavior explicable rather than beyond comprehension. As a result, it could be the case that he emerges in an improved or better light. That's one moral reason for not going ahead with this film.
But he hasn't, has he? I mean, the fact is that what he has said, as has been reported, because I haven't seen the film, frankly has actually damned him and damned us as a society in the eyes of anybody who's watched this, because it basically shows the attitudes that lie behind his willingness to condone and even seek to justify such a heinous act. The shocking thing about this is not, frankly, moral. I mean, the only more credible argument is a legal one, that it could prejudice his chance of winning an appeal or getting a mercy petition through. But even that, frankly, doesn't stand up much, because this case has had such saturation coverage in the media that even that argument doesn't hold. My answer is, frankly, these are very, very small objections in the context of the overall value of facing the issue squarely.
Let me put it like this, Mr. Javadekar. I'm putting the opposite of that argument to you. An interview only provides a platform if it is conducted in a manner and shown in a manner that permits it to do so. On the other hand, the same interview can expose, the same interview can diminish. I put it to you that the interview with Mukesh, the rapist, doesn't provide him a platform. It provides him with a opportunity to expose and to diminish him in the process. Therefore, he emerges a monstrous man, not in any way a hero.
Absolutely true. But let me also tell you, Shashi Tharoor also and Karan, I am one for all freedom of media. And I have suffered in my young age, and I was incarnated and put into prison by Indira Gandhi for 15 months for no fault of us, but we fought against censorship against the media. So you are now having the fruits of that freedom of media for which we fought and suffered.
Can I ask you a question, Mr. Javadekar?
Nobody should.
Are you slightly embarrassed by what your government has done, and are you in an invidious position today of having to defend it, whereas in your heart you actually believe the government has taken the wrong step?
No, 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 absolutely not. Because two things have happened. Let us understand. You, Karan, go through the Rajya Sabha debate which I have gone through. It was an overwhelming sense of the House. Few members definitely said that don't put any restriction, but it was the court restrictions.
But the court restrictions sought by the Delhi Police Commissioner at your behest.
It is not a permanent ban.
All right.
It is not permanent ban. But it is not permanent ban. It was a restraint that you should follow the conditions and then you are free.
Just a moment. You're saying something very interesting.
If somebody wants to violate conditions
you said
deliberately,
something very interesting. If it's not a permanent ban, are you suggesting at some point the ban could be lifted? You're keeping a window of opportunity open.
Nobody has said. Court has restrained. No, already. So now there is no issue of ban or no ban because people have already seen it. So that's not the issue. What issue is, the issue is not only moral, it is not only freedom, it is violation of and the rule of law. See, very unfortunate and very worst kind of heinous crimes are committed in India, but also in other countries.
Sure.
America,
we've covered that point.
Shashi Tharoor has lived there for many years.
We've covered that point. Let's not go back to that.
But you don't know, but we don't shame the America.
Okay, let's come back, Shashi, to a second reason.
Does he shame America as a country?
No, because
then how comes India gets shamed?
I raised that point earlier.
Actually, India has shown
quite
its
right.
vibrancy.
Mr. Javadekar, I raised that point earlier with Shashi. Let's not go back.
By the people.
Shashi, let's come to a second reason for banning this film.
Where people have shown tremendous reaction.
Okay, Mr. Javadekar, give me a chance.
Democracy.
Give me a chance, Mr. Javadekar. I want to come to a second reason for banning the film and put it first to Shashi Tharoor. And the reason is this, that this film expresses views about rape.
There is no ban.
It expresses views about women that should not be seen by the young and the impressionable. This is an adult film. But if you put it for general release on television and worse, the internet, where not just the young but even children have easy access, then it's endangering them and it's unwise that they should see it. That's the second reason for banning the film on television and the net.
No, I don't agree with that either, because the fact is that the attitudes that are implicit in the voices of the rapist and those who support him as defense lawyers, these are voices that unfortunately Indians can hear around them any day of the week, anywhere in this country, because unfortunately these are widely held beliefs. We have to bring these beliefs out into the open rather than brush them under the carpet, because it's only by confronting these beliefs that we can change ourselves as a society. Some of you might even remember the famous episode of Nargis attacking Satyajit Ray for having depicted India's poverty in Pather Panchali, saying, showing India's poverty to the West or defaming India. For us, if we want to confront our poverty, it's far more important for us to see it and recognize it and accept it's there and want to change it. Let a film like this make us ashamed.
Okay.
Let it make us angry. Let us provoke us into changing our society for the better. That's my view. I would not shut it down at all. And when my dear friend Prakash talks about rule of law, he's not going to put some rules issued by Tihar jail authorities above the constitution of the land, which is the higher rule of law and which guarantees our freedom of expression.
Let me put that to you like this, Mr. Javadekar. The sad truth is that this documentary reveals not just the view of one rapist or a couple of lawyers defending that rapist, it reveals a state of mind and an attitude towards women shared by tens of millions of Indian people. That's why it needs to be revealed, because hopefully that will lead to change. But when you ban it, you're effectively covering up and allowing the problem to fester and continue.
Kiran, I can agree with you 100% barring one word. Indian. Because it is universal. Rapes happen unfortunately even in 21st century in all major countries, and people have surveyed the mindset of the men in many countries, and unfortunately for us, for 21st century, it is not an Indian phenomena, it's unfortunately an universal phenomena.
Can I point out one thing? You're absolutely right, and as I said a moment ago, there are British judges who have said equally ridiculous, reprehensible things about rape. The point I'm making is this: in banning this, at the end of the day, you've made India the laughingstock abroad, and you've made the Indian government look very small and silly in the eyes of the Indian people. And I put it to you, Mr. Javadekar, you're not a man who believes in bans. Today, I sense that you're embarrassed because you don't believe the right step has been taken, yet you're forced as a government minister to have to defend what the government's done because that's required of you. You're in a terribly difficult position.
No, I'm so well placed, and my arguments speak for me. I'm not embarrassed because you are insisting with the word ban, but there is no ban by the government. It's the court restraint order which has been executed.
At the behest of your government acting through the police commissioner. The court didn't act suo moto. You went to them. The police commissioner went and asked for a ban. That's why the court gave it. And he did it at your home minister's suggestion.
Courts don't order with government. Courts don't give. Police goes to court with various requests. Not all requests are accepted.
Okay, so
courts
the court
are independent.
is to blame.
Please don't
so
shame
the court is to blame.
Don't
It's the
shame
judge's fault
for judiciary being biased.
All right, I am happy to accept that. It's a new line, but it's an important one. It's not the government that banned, it's the court who did it. If there is blame to attribute, don't blame the government, blame the judge, blame the Delhi High Court. All right, we're going to have to leave it there. My thanks both to Shashi Tharoor and Prakash Javadekar for joining me. And there we end this.
To get his government to withdraw this, go to court. Go to court and withdraw it.
A quick answer, Mr. Javadekar. Will you go to court and withdraw it?
Mr. Javadekar, government can go to court and withdraw.
Will you go to court and seek a withdrawal of the ban?
No. Shashi Tharoor is a free man. Shashi Tharoor is a free man. Anybody can go.
All right. It's a lovely game of ball you're playing with each other. Shashi should go, not the government. All right, gentlemen, we're going to leave it there. My thanks to both of you for joining me for what has clearly been fun. There we end this particular episode. If you have been, thanks for watching. Goodbye. Good night.